Good afternoon. Here is the national news from BGI TV, Babak Bagide Imo TV. I am Maurire Rebila Lawal. First are the major headlines for the national news. Nigeria at 62, Akeredolu grants 16 inmates freedom. Strike, FG reveals what would happen to ASU. Reprisal, Uriwa fumes as soldiers allegedly storm Anambra community to open fire on residents. Store owner killed in Ilorin, 2 children abducted. And finally on sports, attack. Super Eagles players uncomfortable with Peseri's approach. Now the news in detail. Governor Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State has directed the controller of the State Federal Correctional Services to release 16 inmates from 8 custodial facilities to mark the 2022 Independence Day celebration. Charles Titiloye, Attorney General of Ondo and Chairman of the State's Advisory Council on Prerogative of Mercy, said this in a statement on Saturday. Mr. Titiloye said the gesture was in accordance with the power conferred on the governor by paragraphs A, bracket C, and D of subsection 1 of section 212 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. He said the inmates who were serving various terms of imprisonment at the correctional centers received the grace and mercy of the governor based on their good conduct. According to him, the inmates were recommended for release by the State Advisory Council on Prerogative of Mercy. Mr. Titiloye said the governor urged the released inmates to be of good conduct and see their release as another opportunity to live a better life devoid of crime. Moving on to the next story as regards the ASU strike. As the industrial strike and backed by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, enter its 8th month, the federal government has warned the union to cease from acting in defiance of the interlocutory injunction given by the National Industrial Court, NICN, which restrained the union from further action. Senator Chris Ngige, Minister of Labour and Employment, gave the warning in a statement signed over the weekend by the ministry's Deputy Director, Press and Public Relations, Olajide Oshundun. Recall that the ASU President, Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke, had said its members were not bound by the industrial court order to resume work since the union had appealed against the ruling and was awaiting hearing on the request for stay of execution from the court. However, Ngige said that ASU should stop taking laws into its hands by directing its members to continue with the 8-month-old strike. He said a new directive by the union exhorting its members to continue with the industrial action was lawless and that the government frowns at it. He also warned that the union risks consequences of contempt of court order. Moving to the next story as regards the national news. The Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, Uriwa, on Sunday condemned an alleged reprisal attack by soldiers who invaded Umunze, a community in Orumba South local government area of Anambra State, and allegedly shot and unharmed innocent people of the community at Onko Market. Uriwa's national coordinator, Comrade Emmanuel Omubiko, said in a statement that the act by the soldiers is condemnable, stressing that no reason justifies it under human rights laws. According to the report, gunmen had killed 5 soldiers in Umunze last week, leading to a reprisal attack on the community. The rights group, which condemned the killings of soldiers by the non-state actors, lamented that instead of chasing the gunmen, who may not be residents of the community, some soldiers invaded the community hours later, shooting indiscriminately and injuring several people at the market. Commenting, Uriwa's Omubiko said, the reprisal by the Nigerian army at Umunze in Anambra is condemnable and totally against human rights laws, nationally and internationally. It is important to ask why the military has not carried out such reprisals in Zamfara and Katsina, where terrorists killed about 4 soldiers just this last week. The attention of the world would be drawn to the appetite and selective revenge mission to southern Nigeria by the military. Moving on to the next story as regards the national news coming from Kwara State. Unknown gunmen reportedly killed a store owner at Oja Tonto Market in Ilorin, Kwara State capital. The victim, identified as Mr. Aribidesi, was allegedly attacked at his residence at Alubaruka area, Ga Oshibi, Alagado area of Ilorin metropolis. The incident, according to findings, occurred on Thursday 9 September when the victim was attacked with a machete by his assailant, who also abducted 2 of his children. A neighbor of the deceased who requested anonymity said that attackers also went away with the deceased's mobile phone and had since reportedly contacted his family to demand for all 10 million naira to free the kidnapped children. Nobody had knowledge of how they were able to gain access to the building or how they scaled the fence of the house. But we learned that they killed him and took his 2 children away. He died from cutlass wound, the source disclosed. Finally, on the national news is a sports story. Players of the senior national team of Nigeria are finding it hard to cope with the demand of new coach Jose Peseiro, who has shown so far that he is a coach who wants his team to always attack. His approach is in sharp contrast with the style of the former coach of Janet Roy, who is former coach of the Super Eagles, who is very conservative in his approach, insisting on the team keeping their shape defensively more than they do in the opposition half. Although Peseiro's approach has seen the team score in all but one of the games under the Portuguese, the players are uncomfortable with the way he wants them to work, both on and off the ball. It's too demanding, a player said in the wake of the 1-2 loss to Algeria. We played with 2-man midfield and expect the player behind the striker to drop deep alongside the wingers, where we are without the ball. The move and then move in numbers to crowd the opposition box the moment we get the ball, he explained. It's asking a lot of players, to be honest, and the complaints have been there as a lot of us are not comfortable, especially the defenders. The field exposed. We are not even allowed to keep the ball in our half. It must be in the opponent's half. You know how hard that can be, he rounded up saying. That was the national news from BGI TV. Before we conclude the stories, here come some major headlines. Nigeria at 62, Akeredolu grants 16 inmates freedom. We're also brought to you as regards the strike. FG reveals what will happen to ASU. And the next story from Anambra, Oriwa fumes at soldiers allegedly storm Anambra community. And finally on sport, Super Eagles players uncomfortable under Jose Peseiro's style of play. For more updates on YouTube, our handle is Gbagede Imo TV. Kindly subscribe. Click on the notification bell, select option all to access all of our broadcasts. On Facebook, Gbagede Imo with Alawiye Adebayo. Please like and follow the page. On Instagram, Gbagede Imo _22. For other placements of goods and services, coverage of events and function, please dial the phone number streaming on your screen for advert placements only. I am Morire Rabila Lawal. Thank you for watching.